During the pandemic, which was 2019, we all went into lockdown. It was this big ordeal. People were leaving us left and right. I had such high anxiety and a little bit depressed, and it was a lot for me to handle. So I just decided to do the things that made me happy, right? I was alone. I could finally figure out who I am outside of the influence of other people. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Passport to Perspectives. This is a podcast where we will discuss what it's like to be a foreigner living in different countries. For season one, we will be talking specifically about living in South Korea. Just to give you a little bit of background information, my name is Taryn Miller, and I have been living in South Korea for about 2 years now. I really enjoyed living here. It's been such a blessing. I also posted a poll on Instagram, and I wanted to answer some of those questions for you all today. So, this is going to be a short video podcast with you and me, but eventually I will have some guests on my channel and we'll get into deeper discussions about their job, about the things that they love to do while living here in South Korea, and generally why people come here and move to a different country. Let's get into the bulk of things. The focus of this episode is just to give you a little bit more information about me, so let's dive right into it. First question: what moves you to be a teacher in Korea? Personally, I never wanted to be a teacher, especially not in America. No offense to those teachers who are in America. You're doing a wonderful job and I salute you. But a teacher was never my true calling. Honestly, all I wanted to do was travel the world and see the world, but I had no idea how to do that. I had to make tons of money to be able to travel the world like most people do. And honestly, the job that I was doing before I got to South Korea was not a money making scheme. The goal was to travel the world, experience new cultures, get to know new people that I would have never if I was still living in America. And yes, there are chances to meet many different people in America, but I wanted to experience something deeper and go places that were out of my comfort zone, but pushed me to the ultimate limit of my personality. So that will lead us into our next question. What did you do before moving to Korea? Before moving to Korea, I was actually an assistant property manager at a leasing apartment complex. So I have done leasing pretty much majority of my adult life. I started when I was in college and kind of matriculated out of college into the leasing industry a little bit deeper. Started at a leasing consultant, moved up to the head consultant, and then to the assistant manager. And while that job was intriguing, it was extremely challenging, especially for someone like me. I'm known to be a very bubbly, very fun person, and unfortunately, there were many moments where I was challenged. Eventually, the job became such of a strain because of the ungratefulness of people, and people tend to look down on me and talk down to me. And it just did not sit well with me. I did not appreciate it. So I wanted to find something where people would appreciate me. So I looked all over from job to job, just trying to find something that would fit a little bit more of my personality. And I think I found it. During the pandemic, which was 2019, we all went into lockdown. It was this big ordeal. People were leaving us left and right. I had such high anxiety and a little bit depressed, and it was a lot for me to handle. So I just decided to do the things that made me happy, right? I was alone. I could finally figure out who I am outside of the influence of other people. And while I love being around people, while I love my friends dearly, I didn't quite know who I was internally. So I wanted to figure that out for myself. And the pandemic actually gave me a chance to do so. I started watching things like K-dramas and listening to K-pop. And yes, I know that is a whole cliche, but honestly, it's how I got into the culture in the first place. I was so interested in the life in South Korea, the people there. I even went as far as watching YouTube videos, interviews, and people who live there, especially foreigners who live in South Korea. I wanted to know what it was like. Eventually, my YouTube algorithm said, "We got you." The algorithm sent me a video saying, "Come teach in South Korea." I was curious. I wanted to know what that would be like. Honestly, one video led to another video, and I was super hooked. Basically, everyone in these videos was saying that it is such a fun job that you would teach in South Korea and they will pay for your flight, for your housing. You only have to pay for your food and transportation to get around the city and anything else that you need here and there. But your flight and your housing paid for within a certain limit, of course. I was stunned. And I was seeing how much people truly loved being in South Korea, and I wanted to do it myself. I was so nervous. I was like, I don't even know if I can tell this to my friends and my family. Like, what are they going to say if I'm telling them that I randomly just want to move to South Korea because I'm now into K pop and K dramas? Honestly, it was such a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions that went through me mentally. But out of the influence of everyone else, I decided to quietly apply for the job. The application process took 6 months to complete. I was patiently waiting, and honestly, I didn't expect to get the job because I had never taught before. I don't have any experience. To qualify for the position, you have to be from one of the 7 English speaking countries. And since I was from America and I had the qualifications of a bachelor's degree, all I had to do was get my TESOL certificate of teaching English as a second language, and I was good to go. So I got to work. The process took 6 months, but I completed it. After the acceptance, I was taken aback. I was so surprised that they wanted someone like me to come and teach in South Korea. Most people think that teaching here is an easy job. And while it can be easy and less difficult than others, it's not always butterflies and roses. But it is pretty wonderful. The kids and the teachers at my school make it that way. The flight from America to South Korea was 14 hours in total. Straight 14 hours, right? You got about a good 2 or 3 hours from North Carolina to Dallas, Texas. And then from Dallas, Texas to South Korea was the 14-hour flight. That was a tough ride, but I made it. Hey there, listeners. We're taking a quick break to say thank you for tuning in. Your support means the world to us, and we're happy to have you along for the ride. If you're enjoying the show and you want to keep up with the latest episodes, please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram for any updates or behind-the-scenes content. For those of you who are craving the full experience, our Patreon is the place that you want to be. Subscribers get access to full-length episodes and even some spicier, unfiltered content that we just can't show anywhere else. Do you have a burning question or a topic you're curious about? Drop us a message and we'll do our best to feature your question in future episodes. And now, without further ado, let's get back to the show. When I stepped on the soil of South Korea, taken aback. I can't believe I made that move, and it was just so sudden. But I found myself being the most excited, the happiest that I had been in a very long time. So I finally got to South Korea in August of 2022. I made new friends before I even got to South Korea. So I had a support system as soon as I got here, and I've made new friends since. And it's just been such a blessing being here. So that leads us to our next question. How many cities have you been to in South Korea, and which one is your favorite? Okay, so I've been to a few cities. I haven't necessarily explored all of the cities that I've been to, but I have hung out with some friends in a couple different cities. When I first arrived in South Korea, I ended up living in Incheon because that's where my school was placed. So Incheon is the first city that I traveled to. And of course, as you all would guess, Seoul is number two. Seoul has just been so much fun. Like, I can tell you story after story after story of Seoul. And I think I will give you some of those fun stories as I go down the line in season one. I also went on a trip with my high school. We went to Sokcho, which is on the east coast of South Korea. Incheon is located on the west coast. But when I went to Sokcho, it was so beautiful. We went in the winter and went hiking up mountains. It was stunning, absolutely stunning, especially the hotel that we stayed at. 5 star, stunning. I've also been to Pyeongtaek, or actually around that area, not necessarily Pyeongtaek, but like around that area in another military base. I just kind of consider them the same. So I go there to get my hair done. I've also been to Suwon, going to meet a friend. I've been in Gyeonggi-do, which is the places that surround Seoul. Okay. I currently live in Gyeonggi-do. So I live in Busan. And that is Gyeonggi-do is the province and Busan is the city. But Gyeonggi-do surrounds Seoul, but is outside of Incheon. So it's like Incheon, Gyeonggi-do, Seoul. But yeah, so I've been all around Gyeonggi-do, like at least on the East Coast and the West Coast of that, seeing a couple friends. I've been to a couple other cities, but they're escaping my mind right now, so I will try to let you know that later. My visit to these cities have been so much fun. I've been to Everland, which is this huge theme park here in South Korea. I've been to different flower farms. I've been to a zoo. I've been to the rail bike, which is a super fun ride that you can do with a friend or with your significant other. It's a very cute place. I'll tell you guys a little bit more about that later. But there are so many fun things to do here in South Korea. One of my favorite things to do is going to musical concerts in Seoul and never regret it. These festivals here are so fun. If you get the chance to come into a festival, I absolutely would. That's going to lead us into our next question. What is one thing you like about Korea, and what is one thing you don't like? I believe what I like most about South Korea is the convenience of life here. It is extremely convenient to live here, even as a foreigner. The inconvenience is not being able to speak Korean. I think I could have a much better quality of life if I could learn how to speak Korean, which I still am planning to do. But as of right now, I only know a little Korean. The life here is extremely convenient. There's convenience stores everywhere. The public transportation is amazing. I don't have to drive a car here. I honestly don't need much money to live here. The only time I would need to have a lot of money is if I want to move into my own home or if I want to purchase something like extremely large. But as for food and travel and moving around from place to place, it's wonderful. I also adore the convenience of being a central part in Asia. Staying here in a country that is very similar to America and being able to travel to different countries in Asia has been the biggest joy. And it doesn't cost that much money. If I were to travel from America to Asia back and forth, I would have to be rich. I'm not. So I think the joy of being in a central location in a place that makes me feel comfortable is my favorite thing about living here in South Korea. The thing that I don't like about South Korea, honestly, there's not a lot besides the language barrier because it is difficult to get to know people here or to get something done that's really important. I have to rely on other people, which is not always a bad thing, but I do feel like I can be a burden to those people. And I never want to be a burden to the people that I care about or that I'm working with. So I think That one kind of gets to me. But also, that is something that I can change, which I still plan to do. Finally, our last question. Is there anything you would have done differently when moving to South Korea? I think this is a piggyback off the last answer, but if I had to change one thing, I would learn Korean before I got to South Korea. And while you can be here as a foreigner and not speak any Korean at all and still be able to survive, life would be a lot better quality wise if you learned how to speak Korean first. So that is the one thing that I would do differently. But other than that, my move has been fantastic. I love being here and I wouldn't change it for the world. If I had to give you a piece of advice, if you are looking to move anywhere in Asia or anywhere outside of where you currently are, just do it. Don't be afraid to take leaps of faith. Don't be afraid to test your limits and grow outside of your comfort zone, because that is where the big changes happen in your life. The more open you are, the more opportunities come to you. Try not to stay closed-minded and always try to put yourself in a posture of growth and learning. But today we talked a little bit about what moved me to be a teacher in Korea, and I discussed how I fell in love with Korean culture. We also talked about what I did before moving to Korea, being a leasing consultant that was not happy in her 9-to-5, needing a change and wanting to put myself outside of my comfort zone. We talked about the process of getting to Korea, which I will for sure go into depth if you would like to hear that. We also talked about how many cities I've been to in Korea, which has been a lot, and I plan to do a lot more. Finally, we discussed one thing I loved about Korea and one thing I did not like about Korea. The likes outweigh the dislikes by miles. Thank you for listening in to the first episode of Passport to Perspectives. I hope to see you in episode 2, where I will discuss about personal experiences and social observations here in Korea. So things like, have I met any Korea boos? Am I a Korea boo? Have I dated here in Korea? What is the dating life like? And how is the dating scene in Korea? A lot of people were interested in those questions, and I have tons to talk about. So I'll see you guys next time.